Shalom. I'd like to start out by giving all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakach Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of Israel. This is Thamayim in Atlanta, and recently Apostle Tahar did a lesson speaking about how the so-called Christians don't understand the New Testament. And I completely agree with that. And I've thought about that before, how they don't understand the New Testament, but insist that they do and that it's their way of saying it, even though there's 300 plus denominations of Christianity, of Protestant Christianity, along with Mormons and Jehovah Wickedness and various others, even with the Catholics as well. All of those don't make any sense. All of those are false religions, and their pride is so high that they refuse to listen on any of the disqualifications that their doctrine has, because they're just so full of pride, and they're convinced that that they have the truth of the scriptures, but not a single one of them actually does. And a large part of that on why they don't have the understanding of the New Testament is that they're refusing to read a part of the book, a major part of the book, and that's the Apocrypha. They won't allow that to be qualified. And so their understanding of the New Testament is completely off because they won't read the Apocrypha. They say it's not canon or not canonical, and that is just not the truth. The Lord comes in the volume of the book. And something they'll say is, when they're speaking of the Bible and why the Bible is the supreme book, they'll say it's because it has prophecy. And you look at the Quran, and the Quran doesn't have prophecy, or the Egyptian Book of the Dead, or whatever other religious texts there are, they don't have prophecy, and so they're not correct. But the Apocrypha has prophecy. They'll say it's just history, but it's not just history. It contains prophecy, and a lot of prophecy. It expounds on the prophecies that are in the Old and New Testament. It all goes together. It all dances together. And because they can't accept it, they can't have the understanding of the New Testament. It's not for them. And they're showing that they're completely blind to it and to the truth of the scriptures by excluding the Apocrypha. And that is just fine with me. They don't have to understand. But it's the Apocrypha is definitely a part of the book, and as I say, they don't have to understand. I want to go to Psalms 82 because they really don't understand. This is Psalms 82 and verse 5. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. And it's simple. It's just read the Apocrypha, and then you'll understand who the Greeks in the New Testament are. That's very simple. You should be able to understand that. And if you read the portion of the scriptures that have the Greek captivity in it, then you would understand the Greeks in the New Testament, and that those Grecians, are actually Israelites slated for salvation, because the other Greeks, who are actually Edomites, they can't receive salvation, and that's who they're trying to say can be saved. But they took that out. They removed, and by taking out the Greek captivity, they've removed from the biblical timeline, which you can see the biblical timeline in Daniel chapter 2 and Daniel chapter 7. And it shows you the different captivities of the Israelites before the Lord returns. And so you see the Assyro-Babylonian Empire, the Medo-Persian Empire, the Greek Empire, and that's what they took out with the Apocrypha. They took out the whole middle. Then you see the Romans rise after that, which are the legs, and then to the feet that are miry clay and iron, which is the revision of the Roman Empire. But they took out the whole Greek captivity, which that's the middle. And they pretend like they understand the end of the book because without understanding the middle, without even acknowledging the middle. And that's just wrong. They're just not going to understand. Again, the Lord comes in the volume of the book. So they've removed that. Which takes away their understanding of the Greeks because they want to push universal salvation. And that is not true. The Lord set this up only for the Israelites. And the Apocrypha really drills that in as well, that it's just for one chosen nation and that the other nations are just spittle. And they want to ignore that the scriptures are not for everyone. They want to ignore that and push their universal salvation, which universal goes into Catholic, or Catholicism is universalism, and all these churches extend from the Catholic Church. But that's not the truth at all. And it's not for these other nations, but they insist that it is. And so they denied the Apocrypha because it really shows that it's not for the other nations. This is Baruch 4 and verse 3. It says, "Give not thine honor to another, nor the things that are profitable unto thee to a strange nation." And that shows you there is no universal salvation. This is just for the Israelites, and they refuse to accept that. That's one of their major talking points, is universal salvation, that God loves everyone, that everyone can be saved, that the promises and the blessings go to everyone, but it's nothing could be further from the truth. This is 2 Ezra 6 and verse 54. "And after these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all." And so all the nations do come from Adam. And we are all connected in that fashion. But it keeps going. And it says, "And the people also whom thou hast chosen," the people that the Lord has chosen, "are the Israelites." And the Israelites, in modern day terms, are the Negroes, the Latinos, and the Native Americans. But we've also been scattered throughout all of the other nations, throughout the four corners of the earth. So we're going to come back looking like the other nations as well, and all the different colors and all the different cultures the Israelites have been scattered to. So we're going to look like that as well. But primarily, it's the Negroes, the Latinos, and the Native Americans. Verse 55, it says, "All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes." Made the world for the Israelites' sakes. And that's what makes the other nations uneasy. They hate that talk. And so they have hidden it. And the Apocrypha, I think it even goes into being hidden. We could get into that in a second. Actually, 1 second. Alright, so the Apocrypha, even the name of it, it means to hide away. This is from Britannica.com. It says Apocrypha, from the Greek apokryptine, to hide away. And that's what the heathen have done. Esau, Edom in particular, have hidden the Apocrypha away. Because with the Apocrypha really exposes the Edomites. And so they have hidden all of this away. for people not to see. You'd understand that white Jesus is not the truth, because it lets you know in First Maccabees, I believe the 4th chapter, that the Greeks came in and painted their image in place of the Israelite images, of the sacred images. So that kills white Jesus. You actually understand that, no, those are Edomites. That image is an Edomite, and that not everyone can be saved, and that the Lord loves the Israelites primarily. It also gives names to the Edomites and various other things. It's just, this book exposes the Edomites, so they hid it away, being its name. Get back to the scriptures. Verse 55. All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes. As for the other people, these are the heathen, which heathen means country dweller. So they're outside of the temple. They're outside of the promises and the blessings. They're outside of everything. But there are other people that came from Adam. It says, which also come of Adam. They came from Adam as well. Thou hast said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle. And you spit on the ground, and it's nothing. You don't think about it. They are not, the Lord doesn't love everyone. That's another way of saying that. And has likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. You forget about those drops. And now, O Lord, behold, these heathen, which have been reputed as nothing, have begun to be lords over us and to devour us. And so, as it says, the first will be last and the last shall be first. The Israelites in this time of the Gentiles, during the biblical timeline, the Babylonians, the Medo-Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, and then the feet of it, the feet with miry clay and iron, the Israelites during this time period would be at the bottom of all of that. And that also shows that the so-called small hatters over there pretending to be us, that shows that they're not us, because they're at the top right now. They're the heathen. In other words, those are the heathen that are over and lording over the true Israelites, and they're pretending to be the true Israelites, but they're not. Those are heathen. It says, and now, O Lord, behold, these heathen, which have ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be lords over us and to devour us. But we, thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, thy only begotten, and thy fervent lover, are given into their hands. And so it's showing there's one chosen people, and that's a part of why they remove the Apocrypha, because it shows that the Lord has one chosen people, and their universal salvation, their universalism, their Catholicism is against that. And so they had to remove these Apocrypha verses. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 5 and verse 27. And to preface this, these are going into the Lord's one chosen thing that are his favorites. And I'm not going to read through them all, but we're going to start here at verse 27. And it says, and among all the multitudes of people, thou hast gotten thee one people. And so you've got Ham, Shem, Japheth, and you see the promises and the blessings going through the Shemitic line. And they go through there all the way through Abraham, through Isaac, and through Jacob. And it rests at Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel. And so that's the only line of people that are his chosen people. So Ham and Japheth, they're completely out of it from the get-go. From that boat, from Noah's Ark landing, they're completely cut off from the promises and the blessings. But then through that line, came other nations, such as Moab and Ammon, such as Ishmael, such as Edom, who are the self-proclaimed white people, as well as those small hatters. And through the Shemitic line came other nations, but these other nations didn't get the promises and the blessings. The Lord chose one nation of people, and those are the Israelites. And it says, and among all the multitudes of people, so all the other nations, thou hast gotten thee one people. These are the Israelites, his chosen people. And unto this people, whom thou lovest, thou gavest a law that is approved of all. And that is the way that the Lord wants the earth to be managed, and for the people, for society to be managed. He gave this to the Israelites, and the Israelites will be the lawgivers in the kingdom of heaven. And you don't see that currently, which shows you're in the time of the Gentiles, or the time of the statue in Daniel 2. Verse 28, and it says, and now, O Lord, why hast thou given this one people over unto many, the Israelites, because we be at the bottom during this time period. And upon the one root hast thou prepared others, and why hast thou scattered thy only one people among many? And so this is also how the other nations are blessed, because we've been scattered throughout them, and Israel's the salt of the earth and the former of all things. So we've helped to benefit these nations within our scattering, but it's coming to a time where the Lord's going to collect us and put us in our own land and put us over all of the other nations. And this is something that they want to, that especially the Edomites want to cut out, to hide away. And they have been able to do that by hiding the Apocrypha away. There was the Bible destruction group that removed the Apocrypha from the scriptures, from the Bible. It should just be in there. The Lord comes in the volume of the book. This is 1 Maccabees 1 and verse 41. Because this is going into the understanding of the Grecians, and that those Grecians that it's speaking of are actually Israelites. So we're going to prove that right here. This is 1 Maccabees chapter 1 verse 41. It says, moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his people, or to his whole kingdom, that all should be one people. And so they're trying to do a new world order, trying to he's heaping all the people unto himself. It's spoken of in Habakkuk, but Antiochus is an Edomite. And so it's, again, showing names in the scriptures of who is an Edomite. And Antiochus is in secular history, as well as Alexander the Greek, who is in secular history. It shows him to be an Edomite in the Apocrypha. And they can't have that in order for them to have a easy rule. But we're exposing it here. And verse 42, and everyone should leave his law, so all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. So everybody left off from their own culture to join the Greekist fashion. And this is what was called the Hellenization period. That's in secular history. It says, yeah, many also of the Israelites, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. But the Israelites broke that right here, and they became Hellenized. It says, for the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, that they should profane the Sabbaths and the festival days, and pollute the sanctuary and the holy people. And taking in all of these ways of the heathen pollutes the holy people. It pollutes the sanctuary because all that's getting posted up there. And they set up altars and groves and chapels of idols and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts. That they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. And that's exactly what happened there. The heathen put us through the Hellenization process and basically indoctrinated us into thinking we're Greeks, thinking these are our ways, but the Lord gave us ways. He gave us the law, statutes, and commandments, and going against that is sin. So the Israelites were in great sin at this point by leaving off from their law and ordinances. And this is how they became the Greeks, or the Grecians, that you see spoken of in the New Testament. But if you're not reading this portion of the book, you're not going to realize that those Greeks are in fact Israelites that have been Hellenized and that take on those functions. I'm gonna we're gonna back this up a little more in 2 Maccabees because it keeps speaking on it. 2 Maccabees 6 and verse 6. And it says, "Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient fasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew." So you couldn't be a Jew, you had to be a Grecian. So you see them called Grecians in Acts. So Acts 6 verse 1. Actually, need to get it in the blue letter. Acts 6 and 1. And it says, "And in those days, when the number of the disciples was multiplied, there arose a murmuring of the Grecians against the Hebrews, because their widows were neglected in the daily ministration." So, in the way that the Christian church wants you to see it, they want to say, there arose a murmuring of the Grecians, or white people, against the Hebrews, so-called dark people. And it's not that they were living all intermingled together. It's that these Grecians are Israelites against the Israelites, or Hebrews that have taken on the Greek fashion against the Hebrews that have kept with their law, statutes, and commandments. Those are the Grecians. They're just Hebrews that are masquerading as Greeks. They're not really Greeks. And it'll even tell you when you get into this. There's the Hellenists and the Hellenistas, and this one is Hellenistas. Strong's G 1675, Hellenistas. And it says a Hellenist, so somebody who's into Greek fashion. And it tells you right here, one who imitates the manners and customs or the worship of the Greeks and use the Greek tongue. So they go off the Greek gods and that whole pantheon of gods that they had, from Zeus and Hera and Poseidon and, all the way down, Hercules, so on and so forth. That's what they worshipped. And they wore togas and did whatever the Greeks did and ate how the Greeks ate, talked and spoke like the Greeks spoke. Said use the Greek tongue, so speaking like the Greeks. These are the Hellenistas. These are the Greeks, or the Grecians, in the New Testament. These are Israelites. These are Hebrews that are really just confused. It says used in the New Testament of Jews born in foreign lands and speaking Greek. So these are the Gentiles. These are the Greeks, these are the Grecians. These are actually Hebrews. But the Christians will have you think that these are so-called Edomites or any other nation, and showing that and thinking that this means everybody could be saved. But it's not. And that's why it's only saying Greeks and Grecians. It's not saying the Moabites or the Hamites or the Japhites or any other nation. It's really just speaking, it's saying Greeks because they got Hellenized, and they want to remove that whole Hellenization process, because really it's showing everything that's happened here in the West again, because there's a westernization process that happened to the world again. Everybody wants to be like Americans or like the West, thinking that it's morally superior and that it has all these liberties and that it's just the best. But in fact, this is hated of the Lord. And being like this is hated of the Lord. And they're about to find out when the Lord judges this place, because he's about to. And that's why this exposure is going out in the way that it is. But you can't remove the Apocrypha at all. It's not meant to be removed. You get, actually, let's go to Hebrews. Salakia. And to have understanding, you can't remove it. You have to have the volume of the book. This is Hebrews 10 and verse 7. It says, "Then said I, lo, I come." And this is Yahushai. "I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me to do thy will, O power." So this book is written of Yahushai. He's in it from the beginning to the end, the Alpha and the Omega. It's written of him, and you have to have all of it. And these Christians, in their pride, not reading the middle of a book, insist that they know the entire book, especially the New Testament, and that they can receive salvation, that all these things, that they insisting on white Jesus too, that insisting that they understand the scriptures and the holidays and everything. You can't even understand what Hanukkah is or the Feast of Dedication without having the Apocrypha. You have to have the whole volume of the book, the whole thing. It's written of the Lord, and they claim to know the Lord, but they're only taking parts of it, of the book, that they like and that suit them. But you got to have the whole thing, the sweet with the bitter. And there's a judgment for what they've done. And these Christians think that they could just even pretend to be ignorant and that they haven't physically removed it, but they're saying that they say things that disqualify it. Like if you bring it up, they'll say, "Oh, that's not canon, that's not a part of canon," or, "Oh, that book's only history." Well, you, Christian, you, sir, are confederate with them for removing this, and you're going to be held to the same standard that the biblical destruction group was held to, and that the rest of Idumea and the heathens and the rest of the Christians are going to be held to. You're all going to be held to this for removing and adding on, because you have removed the Apocrypha and added on to it that everyone can be saved. You've added on to it white Jesus. You've added on to it that the Greeks can be saved, and that the rest of humanity can be saved and receive the promises and the blessings. And so you are confederate, and you will be judged for it. This is Revelation 22 and verse 18. It says, "For I testify unto every man that heareth the words of the prophecy of this book, if any man shall add unto these things, the Most High shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book." So you've added on universal salvation that's nowhere within the scriptures, you're going to have plagues added onto you. Ooh, and there's already plagues coming, so you're going to get it even worse for touching this book and then adding on to it. And it says, and if any man shall take away from the words of this book, of the book of this prophecy, the Most High shall take away his part out of the book of life and out of the holy city and from the things which are written in this book. And so Christians, the Edomites in particular, they took away the Apocrypha, and they've also taken away their names out of the book of life. They can't receive salvation. That's a part of why, one of the many more reasons why Esau can't be saved. They removed from the book, and blatantly, and they can't be added into salvation, which was never something for them, but they've definitely made it to where they can't even receive it. So they shouldn't have even touched it and pushed it around. In Psalms 50 it says, what is thou to do to touch my law, statutes, and commandments? They mess with it. They can't do right, so they really just brought evil onto themselves. And so, Lord willing, that was edifying. The Apocrypha is a part of the scriptures, and it's necessary for you to understand the volume of the book, to understand the New Testament, to understand the Lord's judgments, to understand the Lord, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And so, Lord willing, that was edifying. I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Akach, Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone. And shalom to the elect of Israel. Shalom.